3.3 asks, how do we prove or show two lines are parallel if they don't show us parallel markers? And we started with this example, and I asked, is line P parallel to line Q? And we said no, because there's no information from the diagram to tell us that they're parallel. There were no markers. There's no angle measurements. That was different from this diagram, where we said yes, line R is parallel to S because we see that the alternate interior angles are congruent. So the only way that these are congruent is if line R is parallel to line S. In other words, lesson 3.3 was the opposite of lesson 3.2. It was the converse of lesson 3.2. Lesson 3.2, I gave you parallel lines and then you figured out the angle measurements. Lesson 3.3, they show you angle measurements and then you have to figure out whether the lines are parallel. We came up with the four converses: corresponding angles converse, alternate interior angles converse, alternate exterior angles converse, and consecutive interior angles converse. These looked very similar to lesson 3.2, except the sentences were flipped around. So let's look at this one. If corresponding angles are congruent, then the two lines are parallel. So if you look at a diagram, they show a pair of corresponding angles having the same measure, you can automatically conclude the lines are parallel. That was reversed from lesson 3.2. Lesson 3.2, I showed you two parallel lines, and then you can say, oh, those pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So let me go over an example. It said, figure out what x needs to be to make these two lines parallel. So the first step is we looked at the two angles and we determined what kind of relationship they have, and we see that they're consecutive interiors. We know that from the consecutive interior angles converse that if the consecutive interior angles are supplementary, if they add up to 180, then the two lines will be parallel. So if the consecutive interior angles add up to 180, then these two lines will be parallel. So the equation, we got to write and solve an equation that represents that relationship. If 80 plus x minus 15 equals 180, then the two lines will be parallel. We get x is 115. So if that's 115 minus 15 is 100. 100 plus 80 is 180. Hence these two lines are parallel. Alright, so that was the main idea of lesson 3.3. It was somewhat similar to lesson 3.2, but reversed. Hope that helps, and take care.